this video, I will briefly touch upon my own personal experiences with haunted objects and my own theory as to why I believe discarnate spirits choose, in particular, to haunt and possess dolls. I will conclude with how you can deal with this situation should you ever experience it in your life. This is my dog Magick. She's an Australian Shepherd. Here's a picture we have of my husband's great-grandfather. We've had these pictures a number of years now. When our dog was a puppy, she would bark at this picture. Here is his wife, my husband's great-grandmother. Very stern-looking woman. Dog never had any reaction to her picture whatsoever. Whereas great-grandpa over here got barked at on a regular basis. She's just turned 6 years old now, so Magick no longer barks at his picture, but she did for a good while. Why? We don't know. Personally, I never sensed anything weird about his picture. However, he does look a lot like my husband. My husband gets a lot of his looks from his great-grandfather, so I'm assuming maybe it was the similarity. I don't know. And it would just mess with our dog? Or could it be that this picture's haunted? Hey y'all, editing Nefer here. I had to stop and point out something. Scroll back to where I say the word picture, or maybe it's portrait. I can't remember now. I'm freaking out. I've played this back like 15 times. There's a loud knock right when I'm saying the word picture. And I was the only one home at the time. My dog Magick was at my feet, and my cat Blue Star was asleep on the couch next to me. So I guess we have our answer, don't we? That picture's haunted. I don't know how to explain that knock. And it was just one knock, and it was a loud, solid knock. Just play it back, and you'll hear it. Weird. Back to the video. Dog, being a dog, Magick is picking up on that energy. I don't know. But what is it about the fascination with haunted objects, and in particular, haunted dolls like the Annabelle doll? So what is the fascination with haunted objects? And in particular, haunted dolls and toys? As far as my own experience with haunted objects, I have experience with 3 throughout my life at various times. And I also focus on a haunted object in this video, and that is about Annabelle, the possessed doll that used to belong to a nursing student, and then Ed and Lorraine took the doll and placed it in their haunted occult museum, where it has been residing ever since, except for the times it is foolishly taken out on tour, like the current time, which is at recording. I'm recording this at the end of May 2025. If you'd like to know about the havoc that Annabelle is causing during her tour, just check out my video, and I've also linked it below in the description. My own first experience with a haunted object occurred when I was about 10 or 11 years old, and it centered around a Chrissy doll. And these Chrissy dolls had hair that you could adjust the length by pulling it out of the doll's head. So you can make it long, then you press a button that was located on their back, and it would suck in the hair. You can make it short and any length in between. So that doll decided to adjust the length of its hair all on its own. And I've discussed that over on my sister channel, True Tales of the Paranormal, which is linked here. And I also have a subscribe button on my end screen for that channel as well. If you're into that, into haunted objects and my own experiences with them, check out that video. My second experience with a haunted object occurred when I was a freshman in college. I attended Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, where I majored in anthropology and archaeology. My roommate was pre-law, very practical, down-to-earth girl. Also, very sweet girl. I really regret that we've lost touch over the years. She brought her little toy stuffed clown to live with her in the dorm room, and I brought along Mopsy. This is Mopsy. I've had her since I was 2 years old. Until I got married, I would travel with her, which caused a bit of an uproar at Heathrow one time when they were x-raying my backpack and they saw Mopsy spread out like this. Yeah, they stopped the presses. They pulled me out to the side and opened my backpack. And when they saw what it was, oh my gosh, laughter all over the place. They got the biggest kick out of her. So that's my Mopsy. This is Bear Hug. This is my husband Stuart's first little stuffed toy that he's had since he was about 2 also. They're not haunted, but my roommate's clown doll had a mind of its own. She kept it on a shelf over her bed, and that thing would end up on the floor face down when neither one of us was in the room. That happened like 3 or 4 times. And then the most startling event occurred when that little clown ended up flying off her bed onto the floor. And at that point, we took care of the problem by having her dad come to the university and take the doll back home. Luckily, like me, she only lived about 45 minutes from campus, so it wasn't, the end of the world for him to come and take that clown back home. So those were 2 experiences. My third one occurred when my daughter was a toddler. She was about 4 years old, and she had a little toy phone. And you know how they come on wheels and they have a pull cord, and so the kid can pull it along like a little car or something. Well, this toy phone had a touch tone keyboard on it and receiver. So you'd pick up the receiver and you could hear a dial tone automatically, and then you press one of the buttons or press a combination of buttons and you would hear a little kid's voice on the other end in a recorded message. And it was all cute little things like, can I come play? Or will you come play with me? And what are you having for lunch today? And things like that. It was really sweet. Well, that phone decided to start talking in a deep, guttural male voice. Well, here I am again. Obviously, I need to give my house another cleansing. In editing this video, I've got to cut in again and say, roll it back to between the words deep and guttural. You're going to hear a little weird noise. It sounds like a little teeny tiny growl or a grunt. Now at this point of the video, Magick was no longer in the room. She got up and wandered off and was in another room somewhere, and my cat was still asleep. And my cat doesn't make any noises when she's sleeping. So I don't know what the hell the microphone on my phone caught. But whatever it is, it's getting cleansed the hell out of here ASAP. Back to the video. And if you want to know how I dealt with that, again, check out that video at my sister channel, True Tales of the Paranormal. I'm not here to talk about that, but just to say I've had my own experiences. So those were the 3. As far as modern day culture goes, with TV shows in the 50s and the 60s, this is when they began to have shows about spooky stuff. So the most well-known, of course, is The Twilight Zone, hosted by Rod Serling. There were a couple of others. There is One Step Beyond, and then there's also The Outer Limits. And The Outer Limits is more like sci-fi, but they would have some spooky stories on there as well once in a while. Well, there's a very famous story on The Twilight Zone about a haunted, possessed doll. I will try to find where you can stream that online and link to it below as well, because that's a really good one. As far as why spirits choose to enter these items, number 1, it's the guise of innocence. It's because it's a child's toy. What could be less threatening than a child's toy, right? And so when you see this toy move or make a strange sound, and usually it's something you catch out of the corner of your eye or you hear it from the next room over, so you're not directly in front of it witnessing the paranormal activity, you will tend to blow it off and think, oh, the batteries are going. That's the usual explanation. Or the mechanism inside the doll, even if it doesn't have batteries, whatever mechanism that like makes its eyelids open and that sort of thing, is getting old. And that's what we think right away, until other strange things start to occur. And until someone directly witnesses the doll doing something it typically should not be able to do. Discarnate spirits, when they do bother the living, they do so because they want to experience life through us. And what they'll do is they will inhabit an inanimate object first that's close to an individual, that is often used, played with, spoken to. The case of Annabelle comes immediately to mind, does it not? Well, you know, we anthropomorphize these toys as children. We relate to them as a little friend. And we talk to it, we play with it, we interact with it in any way we see fit. You know, I used to have little tea parties with my stuffies and my little dolls, you know, and then when I went over to friends' houses, I'd bring them and we'd play with mine and play with theirs and have a little party, you know? Kids do that. It's normal kid behavior. So when you're doing this with an inanimate object, and if there's a discarnate entity around who wants to take up residence, they will decide to enter that toy in order to get close to the child who plays with it and their family members who might have some interaction with the toy itself. And they do this because their main goal is to possess a living human body so that they can manipulate that body and basically experience a physical life. That's what they ultimately wish to do. And they begin by inhabiting an item that is surrounded with the aura of innocence. How insidious is that? Am I right? It's like all these paranormal shows that we watch, and they go in and they start talking to the spirit, and the spirit is saying how it's a lost little boy or a lost little girl. Oftentimes that's a red flag. That it's not a little girl, it's not a little boy. It's never been human. These inhuman spirits take up residence in these objects because they are anthropomorphic in nature. They are shaped like a human body. So it's like a practice session for them. Oh, let me inhabit this and see how that goes and see how much easier it makes it for me to enter into the child or another member of the family. So, how to deal with this situation should you ever encounter it in your life, as I have 3 different times. There's a couple of things. First of all, usually it's not that major of a situation. Sometimes what it really is it's a deceased relative, a deceased member of the family who's just trying to find a way to make their presence known. So it's pretty innocent. But usually it's quite disturbing to the family members, right? So the easy way to deal with it is to just take the item to a dumpster away from your property and chuck it in the trash. Get rid of it. That's the easiest way. However, if there are other things going on in the home that leads you to believe that this is an inhuman spirit who's taken up residence in the doll, there are other steps you need to take. The signs that it could be an inhuman presence is around the doll or in places in the home where the doll or the toy sits most of the time. If you smell anything strange. By strange, I mean an overpowering stench of urine, feces, or rotting meat. Those are the smells you need to watch out for, especially the rotting meat. If you smell any of those, you are most likely dealing with an inhuman infestation of that toy. So in those cases, just simply taking it somewhere and throwing it out in the trash, it typically won't work Because this thing has been attached to the toy, it's been residing in your home with your family, it is therefore attached to your family as well. It'll simply hop in the car and come home with you. And then it will start to manifest in other ways. So in the case of an inhuman infestation, try saying that 5 times fast, inhuman infestation, okay, of an item, you need to call in a professional. Now, many people will immediately leap to the idea of calling in their pastor or a priest to come deal with it. Well, I am very sorry to say, the biggest and best trick the devil ever played on humanity is to cause us to believe he doesn't exist. The Catholic Church these days, if you go to a priest with something like this, they're going to tell you, no, it's not that. You have mental problems. You need to see a psychiatrist. Are you on any medication? Do you drink excessively? Abuse substances? That's going to be their first assumption. And it's going to make you feel like crap because you're looking for help with a real spiritual problem, and you've got your pastor, minister, your priest, your rabbi treating you like you're crazy. But that's how it is these days. That is their first assumption. So I would say in most cases, going to your church isn't really going to help you. What you really need to do is get on the internet and Google for spiritual practitioners in your local area who specialize in this sort of thing. Now, that opens up a whole other can of worms, because if you have no knowledge of local practitioners in your area and none of your friends are aware of any, you basically have to decide based upon what you see about this person online, whether or not you're going to contact them to help you with this problem. So I'm going to share some red flags with you so that if you ever do have this problem or any other problem and you need the local help of a spiritual worker, this is what you look for. This is what you look to avoid. Number 1, enter their name over at Reddit or the name of their business at Reddit. A lot of people who've had poor experiences with businesses and with practitioners, there'll be a thread over on Reddit all about it. Also, there's some good threads there about some good experiences. So Google the person's name in addition to their website. Just do not go by what's on their website, okay? Another thing to watch out for is if on their website they offer any type of a guarantee. In spiritual work, the ability to offer a guarantee is a sure sign the person is a charlatan, because no one's work is 100% effective to the point they can offer their clients a guarantee. I've been in business since 1995 on the internet, and I have clients on every continent except for Antarctica. Do I offer guarantees? No. My reason is this. The universe, or God, always knows what's best and may have a whole other avenue for helping out the client. I merely open the door by performing candle work for the client, and then God steps in and decides, okay, it's going to happen this way and this way and this way. But it's in ways the client does not expect. For instance, I often have clients who come to me with issues in the workplace. They've got a supervisor or a boss who's a jerk, who, manipulates them, takes advantage of them, because that person's in a position of authority that allows them to do that. And my client wants a new job. They want to find a new job. So I'll perform a positive energy transmission. I do not call them spells, because I do a lot more than that. I include the energies of Reiki and the clear iridescent energy array of Archangel Michael, which you probably have never heard of unless you're a client of mine, because I am the exclusive channel for that, and also an ancient Egyptian modality of healing called Per Ankh, which again, you've never heard of unless you're a client of mine. And I include crystals and stones as well, and their energies, and of course the herbs and the essential oils. So I call them positive energy transmissions. Well, for that, what I'm charging you for is my time, my 4 decades of expertise, my energy, and then my materials. I don't charge for results. And I also tell my clients, sometimes we are going through hardship because there's some sort of a spiritual or a karmic lesson that the universe wishes us to learn. And we're learning it in this particular method or in this particular situation that we're dealing with. That is why I ethically never offer anyone a guarantee. So, if you're at someone's site and they say, my work is guaranteed 100% or your money back, find someone else, please. Because what'll happen if it doesn't work, or God forbid the problem gets even worse, will you get your money back? No, you won't. They'll just ignore your emails or your phone calls, blow you off. That's how they operate. I'm very sad to say. It's people like that who give people like me a bad name, you know? But it's par for the course. So, look for them on Reddit, Google their name, look for reviews, and if you don't see anything negative about them, consider hiring them to help you out locally. Now, these people will come to your home and they'll deal with the situation, usually in your home. Another method they may use is they'll just take the item out of your home and do whatever it is to it that they're going to do. I would want to see what they're doing if they're coming to my home to deal with the item. A lot of these people are spirit mediums in that they can sense energies and they can tell you if there is something residing in that toy or in that item. And sometimes they might even tell you, hey, man, this thing's in your house. It's not really in this item. It's just using it. So in that case, you may need an entire spiritual house cleansing of your home. Sometimes the entity is attached to a particular family member, so that family member may need a spiritual cleansing. If you're interested in learning how to do a spiritual cleansing on yourself and on others, check out this video here, where I teach you how to do an egg cleansing the curandera way. My great-grandmother was a curandera of great renown in Michoacan, Mexico. That's from whom I've inherited my abilities. So those are the ways that you would deal with it. You know, just chuck it in the trash if it's just something minor, or call in a professional and then do what that professional suggests. Also, in terms of pricing, everyone has different pricing for these services. Back when I did in-person house cleansings, I don't do them anymore. And if you want to know why, check out this video here on my sister channel, True Tales of the Paranormal. This experience put an end to all of my in-person house cleansings. However, I can do them long distance through the use of candles and Reiki, the clear iridescent energy array of Archangel Michael, and Parank. And I've done plenty successful house cleansings long distance. Typical pricing, it depends on the size of your home. Like I live in a 2-story, 2,400 square foot home. A home of this size, I would probably charge $300 because I go through every single room. I open up all the closets. I open a window in every room to let out the energy. It's time consuming. A house that's the size of mine, like I said, about 2,400 square feet. I have a 4-bedroom home. I would probably take a minimum of 2 hours. So for pricing, keep that kind of in mind as a ballpark figure. 2,400 square foot, 2-story home, about you can expect to spend from about $150 to $300 or so. Again, it depends too on how much experience the person has. Look into that and ask them questions. If they don't readily answer all your questions or address your concerns, move on to someone else, because this is a very dangerous problem to have, and you want to be sure that not only does the person really know what they're doing, but they're also ethical. They're honest. And these days, I hate to say it, but ethics and honesty seem to be shoved on the back burner so much. It's really sad, especially in my line of work, you know? It's really sad. I can't tell you how many clients come to me from other practitioners who've ripped them off. A lot. So, in summary, we've learned why spirits inhabit toys and other anthropomorphically shaped objects, why we're fascinated with that, the popularity of it in modern culture, and how to deal with the problem. So I thank you very much for watching. This is Nefer of Magical Musings 1111. If you like what you've seen here, please give my video a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Thank you to all who are subscribed, and I'll see you again soon. I wish you a blessed week ahead.